Hi guys, today I'm gonna show you how to make your own true DSMX Spektrum module for your FrSky Taranis. First, I need the original Spektrum module that I'll take out of this one. I'll start by taking out the batteries. By the path of the antenna lead I can figure out that the transmitter module is hidden down here somewhere. The module here is soldered on 10 of these 12 pins and then it is connected to the circuit board or fastened to the circuit board by double-sided tape, it looks like. I think getting this one off is the most difficult part of the entire operation. Now I'll try to unsolder the transmitter module, and it looks like it is a lead-free solder, so I need a very high temperature. I have gotten it a little bit too hot there, but I hope the module is still fine. As you can see, here we have a genuine Horizon Hobby DX5E module. As you can see on this screenshot, I found this the link to the circuit board and the bill of materials on John Prickle's website, so all credit goes to John. Now I'll start assembling the new JR module. First, I've looked at all the components and the bill of materials, and I've labeled these bags with IC1, resistor 1, capacitor 1, jumper or connector 2, capacitor 2, resistor 2, and then I have the circuit board itself. So, based on the labels on the circuit board, it will be very easy to put on the components. So now I'm going to start assembling or putting the individual components on the print here, on the PCB. First of all, I'm going to put all the individual components in here. After that, I'm going to solder them. With the capacitors, it's important to get the right polarization, because it doesn't matter how you put it in. The longer leg is the positive lead, and it is written on the print which one should be the positive. So, as you can see, I put in the capacitor with the longer lead in the positive side, stuck it through, and then just folded out the legs here on the capacitor. C1 done. Oh, I might note, the circuit board is from OSH Park, where you can go in and order them. I ordered it about 2 weeks ago and it arrived today. So there's a minimum order of 3, so if this one doesn't work out, I can practice some more. I have purchased enough of all the other components to to do some additional ones. The only one I have one of is this very important module. So I hope it's still okay after all the heat. I'll put in next component, capacitor 2. Again, the long lead in the positive side, the short lead in the negative side. Like so. And fold out the leads. Now it's time for a resistor. Resistor 1, 4.7 kilo ohm. With these resistors, it's a very nice thing to use a small pair of pliers to make some angles on the legs. So I'll just find that. Bending it straight. There. Oops. So, should be able to slide in now. With the resistor there is no polarity, so you can put it in either way. Not as pretty as I wanted, but I'm sure it will work. The next one is the D1, that's a diode that has a polarity, so you have to be sure to put it in the right way. On the diode you'll see a small, like a ring around it, and that has to match the ring that is here on the print. And again, the resistor has no polarity, so it doesn't matter if you put it in this way or this way. The next component I'll put through is the voltage regulator, the integrated circuit, IC1. I think now it's time for me to solder these components. I'll turn up the temperature just a bit. Sorry. And solder the next one. It's important to get a good warm solder joint or solder joint. So now that these components are soldered in, I'll cut off the wire. With this one. I wish I had one a little bit smaller, but unfortunately not. Time for a cleanup. So now the table is cleaned up and we are ready to put on the next components to the PCB. I'll start by putting in this one, the component JP2. It's a 12-pin connector which the Spektrum module will slide into. I'll solder this one right away. Oops, need to make it stay here. These are very small pins, so they don't need a lot of heat. That's why I'll turn down the temperature here. The tools I'm using right now are actually a little bit too big for these small pins, but I'm too lazy to switch them for small ones. Now I made the problem of putting too much solder on one of the pads. So using this copper wire, what it's called, solder wick, I can remove some of the excess solder. Now this one is soldered in. I'll just use my multimeter to test if I have any unintended connections between any of the 12 pins. Now it's time for the Molex 5-pin connector. That's the one that goes or catches the wires from the Taranis transmitter and puts the signal onto this circuit board. Like that. Again, I'll check, because it's hard to see on this dark print, if I have any shorted circuits, which I don't, so that's very fine. Now I should be able to put this module directly into these, if there is not too much solder left over from when I took it out of the Spektrum radio. And it goes in very well. Now it looks like this. So obviously I'll have to support it here somehow. I'll get back to that in a second. So I got this very little piece of foam that I had lying around, and I'll put double-sided tape on both sides of it. That. Like that. And the height here should be okay. Yeah. Peel the tape off, and then I put it on the underside of the Spektrum module. Like that. And I plug it in again. Now I simply press here. The module is now fully supported by the foam and the tape. So now it's time to turn off this one, the solder, and it's time to test fit it in this Spektrum DM9 empty case that I bought cheap on eBay. It has built-in antenna with a lead that clips right onto the transmitter. So this one goes in here. These holes is where the pins are coming through from the Taranis. Goes up in these slots. Goes in here. And now it's just a test fit, so I'll not fit the antenna cable yet. Just plug it like that. And it fits very good. Only one problem. The PCB is a little bit thicker, like maybe 0.7 millimeters thicker than the original PCB in the Spektrum. Or something like that. I have a little bit of a gap all the way around here. I'll solve that by just filing very little of these four, so it will go all the way down. In fact, I think I'll just sand it down with sandpaper, depending on how hard it is. Try to put it on again. Yeah, it needs a little bit more, but it's better. The reason I'm not cutting this like so is because I'm afraid these will just crack, and then I'll not be able to tighten the screws as easily. Yes, we're getting much closer now. Yes, that's a very fine fit. So now I'm ready to plug in. First, I'll make sure there's not too much dust in it. Then I'm ready to plug in the antenna. This one, small connector, I'm sure you cannot really see it on the screen, should clip right onto the module. Like that. I'll see which way it has to go around. I'll be sitting like that. So, to be on the safe side, so that this one doesn't come off in vibration during vibrations or something like that, sorry about that, I'll just put a little bit of hot glue on it to make it stay there. So now it's time to put a drop of hot glue on this one so that it will stay in place. And not move. Like that. So now I'm waiting for the glue to dry, and then I'll assemble the parts and test it in the Taranis. So in the kit of the Spektrum case, called SPM 6817, if you look it up on eBay, there is 4 screws and a little Allen wrench. In this step it's important to line up the PCB, the holes in the PCB, so that we don't destroy anything. And this one is quite crappy, so I'll find my own one. Here's my own one. Works a little bit better. Turns out that this one is not working very well because this one is metric, 2 millimeters. This one is a little bit bigger, some kind of imperial size. So I guess I have to use this tiny one. Oh, there we are. Time to put this into the Taranis. So here's the Taranis. Taking out this cover, and these holes should slide right over these pins in there. Like so. So now I have 2 antennas on my Taranis. Let's switch it on and see if the smoke comes out or if I've done a decent job.
Welcome to Taranis. Switch warning. GPS IOC off high rates.
So now I'll create a model for one of my small Horizon Hobby bind and flies. And now I have to set the internal RF mode to off, the external RF mode to DSM2, and then choose DSMX. As you can see here, I have a small UMX model which I've put into bind mode by just plugging it in, and then I'll try to bind it with this one. It looked like it worked. Yes, I just have something with the channel. Oh! As you can see here, the channel order is not correct, so I'll just turn it off. Like so. And I'll Google what is the default channel order of the Spektrum system, because obviously it's not aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder. So as I just discovered, the throttle order is not the default aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder, but it is throttle, aileron, elevator, rudder. So I'll have to change that here in the mixer settings. So now throttle, aileron, elevator and rudder. So I'll risk my fingers and plug in the battery again, see what happens. So now the throttle responds to the throttle input. And the elevator responds the correct way, but the rudder, this is a 3-channel airplane, so the rudder is on the right stick. I have to reverse that, I can see. And now, looks right, nothing happens here, but this way, throttle happens. So there you have it. Taranis DSMX module, bind it with an e-filte Horizon Hobby UMX spacewalker with a DSMX receiver. Below the video I have posted some links with the parts list, with the link to where you can buy the PCB. And now I will show you some close-up photos of the completed system. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe for more interesting stuff.